Okay, so I wanted to do a best books of 2021 video because I want to be able to like look back and see my favorite books that I've read for the year. I want to get into doing more frequent book reviews because I do read. I have more books over here that I have yet to read, and I'm currently reading one book. Am I currently reading one book? Yeah, I just finished the book that I was reading on my Kindle. So anyway, I want to get into like reviewing more books and like doing more book talk kind of stuff. But I did want to do a best of 2021. So I do have some physical copies of books, but for the ones that I don't have physical copies of, I'm going to try to insert a picture of the book on the screen so you'll be able to see. So let's go ahead and get into the first book. The first book is Attached by Dr. Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. This book breaks down 3 major attachment styles in relationships. You can be secure, avoidant, or anxious. And the book teaches you about each attachment style. It also has an assessment so that you can find out what attachment style you are. And it talks about how you interact with other attachment styles, what would probably be your ideal partner, and you know, some things to look out for. I really learned so much about this book. I had everybody like at my job one day. We all took the attachment style quiz and I talked to them about it. I got really deep into this, and it's a very short book. It's not even 300 pages, and it goes in depth about a lot of kind of like things that you may go through in being mismatched with someone who doesn't complement your attachment style. I think that this is a book that everybody should read, but especially people who are dating, and especially people who want to understand more about their dating past, because I learned a lot about myself. I'm married, and if you are married, I still think it would be a wonderful book for you to read because you could still learn about your partner and about yourself. But definitely for my single people, this is a phenomenal book. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Black Buck by I have to look on the front. Mateo Ascari-Poor. I'm very sorry because one of my least favorite things to do is mispronounce people's name. 1, this book is very beautiful. 2, this book was extremely entertaining. I could totally see them turning this book into a movie. I ended up listening to it. Am I saying that right? I ended up mostly listening to the book on Audible. The audio production of this book is phenomenal. So if you want to read this book, I definitely recommend listening to the audio production of it because it was brilliant. It was extremely entertaining. I do want to say there is some times where certain things were said, and like being a believer, I was a little bit turned off. So like, I just want to throw that in because when I'm recommending books, it doesn't mean that I co-sign with everything in the book or that I think that the book is perfect. The book can have a lot of other good things that I like, but it doesn't mean that I co-sign with everything. So I just want to say that. But this book is about Buck, and he's basically like just trying to be respected in the workplace, and he's a very talented person, and it's just kind of like the series of events on like essentially how he sells his soul to, you know, make it in the industry. And it was extremely entertaining, but also extremely, what is the word that I'm looking for? Like, it definitely makes you think about how Black men are treated in the workplace, in professional settings, the things that they have to go through, like basically the lack of support, kind of like how personal relationships can be affected by somebody's will or want to work and be successful. So this story was crazy good. I would definitely read this again. I definitely recommend it to you, especially Black men. I feel like a lot of books aren't, a lot of mainstream books on BookTube and Bookstagram are not, in my opinion, really geared towards Black men. This book, that's all I got to say. Read that. So then we have Beach Read. I tapped this book. I took this book to the beach with me. I think I have a vlog when I'm at the beach. And I was literally like, I had just opened it and started reading it. I was maybe 20 pages in, and someone like stopped me that was like walking on the beach and was like, that book is so good. I just finished it. This book is exactly what the title says it is. The title gives more innocent than the book is, and I don't mean innocent as in like it's extremely like, I don't mean it in the aspect of like there's a bunch of sex scenes, but I mean like these characters have been through so much. You have January, who just finds out that her dad has been having an affair and her dad has passed away. And then you have August, is his name Augustus? Yeah, Augustus, because she will call him Gus. And like everything that he's been through, I really like that although it was a romance novel, you have characters who are dealing with very real things. I think those are some of my favorite like romance stories, when you see that the characters on their own have their own mindsets, the things that they've been through, their own baggage, and how the two things crash together and then they have their own thing. And I really, really like that this book, it just feels really realistic. Those are my favorite kind of romance novels too. Even if it's a little fairy tale-ish, I don't dislike that, but I like the rawness that Beach Read gave. So this is by Emily Henry, and I haven't read People We Meet on Vacation, but I'm definitely going to. So this is another one. So I think that's the last of the physical copies that I have. So the next book that I'm going to talk about is Checking In by Michelle Williams. So we all know Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. She basically gives an account for just her battle with depression and anxiety. She talks about like checking herself in to get help with her depression. She talks about just learning certain coping mechanisms. She talks about, you know, being engaged and how that unraveled. And what I really like about the book is she doesn't talk with a tone of, I once was here and now I'm here and this is how you can do it too. It really feels like you just have a friend in her, and she understands, you know, some of the things that you may have gone through if you struggle with anxiety or depression. I like that she starts to teach you to look at the things that you're triggered by, or those moments of anxiety or panic or negative thought, as your cues to check in with yourself. I also like how she encourages you to definitely dive more deeply into like when you're feeling upset, why am I feeling upset? Okay, this person yelled at me. Why did that really bother me? I felt disrespected. How do I need to cultivate more respect in this? Like, you can dissect your emotions to help you figure out what to do if you take the time to check in. And it was just like a breath of fresh air. And I can't recommend that book enough. What's the next one? Oh, is this my last book? No, I have 2 more books to talk about. Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. I think that's how you pronounce her name, or it might be Nedra Glover Tawwab. If you want to learn something, if you want to read a book that you instantly start to apply the content to your life, read that book. It's all about boundaries. It's all about examples on things to say, how to stand firm, things to avoid. She even talks about like things to look out for. She helps you really get into a place where you can practice and prepare yourself to have healthy boundaries. And I've already utilized so much that I've learned in that book. And if you don't read any other book that I've mentioned today, Checking In and Set Boundaries, Find Peace, please read those. She does a phenomenal job, and she helps you in so many aspects of your life, whether it's the workplace, if you have kids. I don't have kids, but I learned a lot. How to set boundaries with friends, family, in your relationship. She goes through so much, and one of my favorite things about her book is some self-help books don't really give you an option to fail or to not be so good at something that they're trying to get you to apply to your life. And she helps you through some of that red tape, or some of that some of those things that you're like, oh, I could try that, but I think this person will do this. She gives you so many examples on how to continue to push through for yourself. And I think that that is special, because like sometimes we just don't feel prepared, and we feel like we know what's gonna happen, and it stops us from trying. So she's like, she really like breaks it down so that you can feel very confident in starting to implement some of the things that she has taught in her book. And then the last book that I want to talk about is Sugar by Bernice L. McFadden. So keep in mind that these are the books that I've read in 2021. Some of these books did not come out in 2021. Sugar follows a prostitute named Sugar and a woman named Pearl. Pearl and Sugar's relationship is so beautiful. Pearl is a person who has been married, you know, she's lost her daughter. She goes to church. She's really a believer, and she just wants to be like a upright woman. And then Sugar is Sugar, raw, gritty. She's not gonna pretend, you know. And Pearl and Sugar's relationship and their connection, the love that Pearl has for Sugar, to me, is a great representation of Christian love, because Sugar is a lot, you know, but she is who she is. And that book is very raw, very gritty, so prepare yourself for it before you read it. But yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite books. So I hope you all like this. I hope you check out these books, and I'm definitely already reading more books, so I will be back with some more book recommendations.